Welcome back to Markets Today. It was a choppy day on the markets. Trades on practically any share whipsawed so much that traders, both short and long, could have burnt their fingers. A rather treacherous day of trading. But what was disappointing from an investor's point of view is all the indices ended in the red after showing promise of gaining about 0.5% to 1%. The mid-caps in particular lost 1/3% yet again, showing some seminal weakness over the past 10 days. Well, on that note, let's get in some more market opinion, some expert opinion. Neelkanth Mishra of Credit Suisse says global investors continue to remain keen on the Indian market. In fact, they hold a very optimistic view on the medium term, and this is important because he's speaking from the sidelines of the Credit Suisse International Investor Conference. Listen.
I don't see any waning of interest in India. I do think that people are still looking at the medium term. They're still quite encouraged. I think some of the reforms that finally the government is able to push through in the last month or so, and much against belief that in the Rajya Sabha they don't have majority. I think some of the reforms have been, I think, very encouraging. So I think the interest level remains. It's just that now other parts of the world have started to revive. So on a relative basis, yes. I mean, there could be some short-term interest which is going elsewhere as well. We are overweight sectors like NBFCs. We are overweight sectors like consumer staples, also discretionary. I mean, the correction, I think, is an opportunity to accumulate. We also like private sector banks.
That's the Credit Suisse view on the markets. Let's move on. CNBC TV 18 has learned that the Nachiket More Committee at the RBI has issued a list of queries to all the payment bank applicants to make the selection process transparent. Manasvi Ghilani joins in with more details. Manasvi, what are you picking up?
So it's been a month and 20 days to be precise, that the names of the applicants put out. And now we understand that the RBI has been rigorously scanning these proposals, and they have sent out the first round of queries, which include, in fact, they wanted to know what happened in the last 3 years with these applicants, in fact, in terms of their business valuations, in terms of number of transactions, their physical distribution points, and service deliverability. So the touch points is what is the key here, and they want to know what happened in the last 3 years, how did their business grow. In fact, all the proposals at this point in time sitting with RBI mentioned about the future expansion plans and how the companies are going to go ahead once the applications, once they're through and they are the applicants once they make it. But at this point in time, they want to know what was their previous track record. So that has been in focus at this point in time. In fact, RBI issued the list of queries last week, and we understand that they were given out to all the 41 applicants, and most of the replies have been have gone back to RBI. So RBI is again on it. As far as small banks go, they have yet to hear on the similar lines from the RBI. But for the payment banks, this is the status at this point in time.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Manasvi. That will, of course, come from the Usha Thurat Committee, the questionnaire for the small banks. But here's an exclusive from the CNBC TV 18 stable. We learned that Lanco Infratech may sell its road and highway assets as a part of its massive debt monetization drive. Kritika Saxena, who broke the story for us, is with us. Tell us, Kritika.
Now, the massive is the right word. 65,000 crore is the debt that they're sitting on. Now, they have been looking at selling their roads and highways business. They failed back in 2012, but that was largely due to the fact that most of their highway projects hadn't reached financial closure. Now that they have, I understand that they are looking at either A, selling a majority or a minority stake in the roads and highway business as a whole, or selling stake in individual projects. So the projects that they have identified, which are lucrative, could fetch good valuation, include the NH91 highway, which is the highway connecting Kanpur and Aligarh, and the NH4 and the NH48 highway in Karnataka. My sources tell me that all these three individual highways could be valued at anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 crore rupees. So roughly, all in all, if we were to look at the valuation, Lata Surbi, it could be a valuation of around 3,000 to 3,500 crore rupees.
All right, Kritika, many thanks for that. So that's Lanco hitting the headlines today. Let's quickly move on. Of course, it wasn't just Lanco that was buzzing around in trade. Let's go across to Mangalam Palu, who's got the stocks and news, the entire wrap for us. Mangalam.
Well, that's right. A lot of stocks were in focus today. We start with Prime Focus as the company sells its UK's broadcast post business to Blue 2.0. Tilaknagar Industries was also buzzing in trade as the company is looking to raise about 200 to 300 crore rupees through the sale of their non-core assets. Somani Ceramics Board has approved an issuance of securities up to 150 crore rupees. Geometric was also in focus as the reports indicate that major shareholders are looking to sell about 39% stake in the company. Tech Mahindra and HCL Tech are said to be potential suitors for this acquisition. Hero Motocorp was also in focus as the Andhra Pradesh government allots 592 acres of land for the company's two-wheeler project. The company is set to invest close to about 1,600 crore rupees in a phased manner for this greenfield project. NIIT Technologies was also in focus as the company is set to provide $10 million against an unbilled revenue in the March quarter. Kernex Micro was in focus as the board differs the meat to mull the sale of select assets. And finally, Syndicate Bank was in focus as the company is set to issue 3.7 crore equity shares via preferential basis at 122 rupees 0.75 paise to the government of India. With that, back to you.
Thanks a lot for that, Mangalam. In spite of the news, many of them, most of the stocks, majority of them moving down as it were. Well, before we go, let's leave you with some trading strategies. These come from Ashish Chaturmutta of Fortune Equity Brokers.
Oil marketing companies, we are witnessing some amount of buying momentum coming in last one to two trading sessions. In that, Hind Petro is looking quite strong. We are recommending a long position in Hind Petro with a stop below 620 and an upside expecting a target of 665, 670 levels. Dr. Reddy has given a clear breakout about this 3000 levels on the daily and weekly charts. At current levels, one can initiate a long position keeping a stop below 2980 and an upside can expect a target of 3120 levels.
Right, and on that note, we wrap up this edition of Markets Today. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.